Hi, I'm going to talk about the direct experience of what we call awakening, which from my point of view is really simple. It's very simple. Why do I say that? Because I've been facilitating direct experience of awakening for 26 years. That means very simply bringing people into the direct experience of self recognition, direct, immediate, absolutely, no doubt. And not just for like a few seconds or a minute or a few minutes, but holding someone in this direct experience for long enough, extending that for long enough for, say, up to an hour, for long enough for seeing through all the mechanisms, seeing truth, seeing and realizing to take care of all the yes, but, what if questions that are in the space in that moment, to completely bring about a stopping of the mind. Some people call that Satori when it, and you know, this is something that before I woke up, right? And there's not a kind of one moment that I can say I woke up. There are many moments, many experiences, many openings, right? But there was definitely a moment when there was no turning back, you know, no way to ever believe that I am anything or anybody or any entity that has its own separate existence in this universe. There was a moment when that was absolutely 100% irrevocable, right? So if we want to call that awakening, we can, yet there is still ongoing revelation of that goes on, I would say, until this body falls away. You know, it's never over. It's always, well, it's not in the same way. It's not at all in the same way now. But the first Satori I ever had, which was way before this irrevocable moment of self-recognition, the first Satori, what I understand as what they call Satori, was a complete stopping of the mind, where it was complete and utter silence, and as if existence has just opened up and there's no separation, there's no me separate to that, and the mind has stopped, and there's this experiencing of absolute perfection, love, beauty, joy, seeing, pure aware seeing. So that happened for me and lasted like weeks or something, a couple of times before there was this final disillusion of whoever I thought I was as a seeker, as somebody who was searching, as somebody who was on a spiritual path. You know, when that all fell away, that was irrevocable in the direct knowing of who am I. So, yeah, there were a few Satoris before that. So when I started to naturally, it came quite natural to lead others into this direct knowing. It came very easily, naturally, simply, to intimately and directly bring someone into direct knowing, so that what is looking through these eyes is looking right back at itself, and there's just one pure knowing of itself to itself, and that is expanding, 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 open as the whole universal existential being, realizing itself through the human. So I started giving sessions. I think it was in year 2000. I started giving these sessions, and it came very easily. And so people would have these direct recognition of who am I moments, and they would walk out the session like, mind completely stopped. Oh my God, they've seen it. It's over. And I would say to them, like, yes, this is it. And it's very simple because it is what you are. So when a seeker is striving and striving and seeking and striving and seeking and striving, it's all in the way of what's already here. What you are is already what you are. This moment is already what it is. Water is already wet. Water doesn't try to become wet. Water is wet. In the same way, you are what you're looking for. So by the very looking, by the very searching, is a movement away. So self-recognition happens when there's a complete stopping. And so what I started to, it was so when I realized what I realized was so simple. I couldn't believe it was that simple, that I started to bring others into this simplicity, into this direct recognition. But I would always be very, very careful to make it very clear that as the mind is going to come back in, because I would hold them in a complete stopping of the mind for half an hour in these sessions, like I do in all my retreats, hold the whole room like that. Like it doesn't matter if there's one apparent person or there's 30. It's the same for me to hold the whole room in direct recognition. But then it's fair to say that, I would always give them the warning that the mind is going to come, when the mind gets going again, when it starts running again, it's going to come with all these, where it gets tripped up, where it trips itself up. And you have to go through, somehow you have to go through that so that you come to see every corner of how the mind works. So for example, usually after direct recognition, after the first stopping of the mind and direct seeing, usually what follows that is the thought, I got it. And that's either going to be a thought that is, I got it. And then that thought is then taken on like, yeah, I got it. I got it. Now I have it. Yeah. And that's the first moment of losing it. Because whatever can be got can be lost. Remember, I said a couple of moments ago that you are already what you're looking for. Water is already wet. So when you are looking to become awake, you're already in the way, right? So it's in the relaxation, in the ego relaxation, in the stopping, that recognition of what already is brings about direct seeing, direct knowing of itself. Water is already wet. The nature of water is wet. The nature of what you already are is already awake, is already pure, free, aware, existential being. So it's in the stopping and the relaxing of the mind and whatever identity has been built within the mind process, with the stopping of that, what's left is what you are. So the moment that that recognition happens, and then when the mind starts getting going, the thought is like, I got it. But whatever can be got can be lost. Because you cannot get what you are. So in the first thinking, the first thought that arises of the ego self, I got it, what will soon follow, because then I got it and now I have to tell everyone, and now I'm like, I declare it, I got 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 it. There's an I who got it. And that I is the one who will lose it. So I always used to, and I still do now, warn people, that following direct recognition, what comes after that is all the unmet, unseen, unconscious play within the self that you take yourself to be, the pain that's being carried, the untruths, the unconscious way to play out things, that's all going to arise in your experience, in your relativity, in your relative world, because relativity goes on. Right, so that's all going to come, it's all going to arise for to be seen, for to be met. And in this meeting, it's like whatever hasn't been met in truth, what's been kept in a back pocket, what's been like you've hidden from yourself and anybody else, that's going to somehow come out in the play of relationships, in the relative play. If you want to not have to face any of that, like some bubbers have done. Just go sit on the top of the mountain and don't relate with the world, and therefore you won't have to face this, what comes up in relativity. The way that you have played as a relative in the relational field won't come up if you're not relating, right? But the moment you start relating, it's going to come up, because that's the way your body, mind, made up self identity, that's the only way it knows how to play with certain behaviors rooted in certain beliefs and rooted in the belief in itself as a separate I. And if within that, the roots of that belief, there are like deeply held core beliefs like I'm not good enough, unworthiness, this kind of thing, then there will have been behaviors built on top of, first of all, unworthiness. I'm not good enough, so I have to prove that I develop a personality where I prove that I am good enough. Or it can be the opposite, like a deep sense of unworthiness. So I have to please everyone to get love and get self-worth, that kind of behavior. And then it might, in its growing up phase, it might then take the form of, these are forms, right? It might then take the form of, I'm just, yeah, I take my power back. I take my power, my boundaries, my power, I take my, this is my, I'm taking my power back, and these are my boundaries, and this is it's another form. It's another form of the made up self reclaiming its false sense of power. So these kind of, all of these mechanisms are what are going to start unraveling once there is direct knowing of what you actually are. You know, that direct recognition, direct knowing doesn't suddenly update all this patterning. It just doesn't. This happens in the walking. In the walking and the talking. Up comes a way of behaving and playing out. Oh, that's not right. That doesn't look or feel right. The way I'm relating with that person, as if I am someone who's not good enough, and therefore I have to pretend that I'm powerful and da 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 da. Why am I doing that? Like, it's an old behavior. And from direct seeing and direct knowing what's in the roots of that behavior, a deep sense of unworthiness, for example, is coming up to be directly experienced. Experience all the moments of the life that haven't been met, that have been played out the way in that relative play, playing out with that person and that person and that person, playing out these dysfunctional ways. There's pain underneath that, a deep sense of unworthy. This direct meeting in truth can be experienced like a wave of experience rising up in the ocean, like a wave rises up. We cannot deny that waves rise up and fall back into the ocean, but a wave never left the ocean. It was always the ocean rising as a wave. It's the same with experiencing. So I would always, always make it clear to anyone having a direct seeing, a direct recognition, that this is what is going to follow. And it's through this playing out and this process of true meeting that the clarity and the stepping into this body in truth, that this realization starts to come into the body. This is what I call embodiment. That the realization begins to be embodied as the truth is walked in to the body life. This is what I call embodiment. I don't care about what anybody else calls embodiment. That's what I'm calling embodiment, right? To be in it, in your human, directly meeting in truth. And when you can meet yourself in truth, when you can meet everything here in truth, there is no issue with meeting so-called other in truth. And relationships are like fantastic for that, fantastic for this integration process. Any relationships, relativity. So this direct recognition of what we call awakening is very, very simple. From where I look, it's very, very easy, simple. It doesn't come through searching and searching and searching and searching. It comes through stopping. Can you stop the search? You can neither stop nor start. Even if you stop, even if you say, I call off the search, I stop, still the inquiry will continue. It's happening by itself. I tell you, most of the people that come to my retreats, most, not every single one, because it takes a certain readiness. Yeah. But most of the people who come to my retreats have direct recognition because I bring every single one of them into the chair, into the hot seat in front of me, and go through a direct inquiry where the direct experience is brought alive and throbbing. And if you're watching this and you've been to any of my retreats, you know, and leave a comment, please. Yeah. And so in these retreats, if there's 30 people, for example, then each one that's coming in the chair, and then I meet them exactly where they are, and I walk with them through whatever they're moving through. I bring it to a direct seeing. The moment they have that direct experience and there's an awakening happening, boom, the rest of the room also experiences it. And then the next one comes. And then I walk through with them. And usually, if there are enough days, it's everyone in the room. Because it's not like, it's not like these big gurus with 2,000 people or something. That's not how it is at all. And I'm not like a guru. I'm no other than yourself. I am what you are. I'm no other. And so everybody gets the chance. And I'm saying, without any doubt, and I'm saying it from my experience of working 26 years in these retreats and sessions, that it's easy. It's easy for the mind to stop and for direct seeing to happen. Now, whether there is enough readiness and maturity to value that, that will determine how that colors your life. And everybody gets according to where they are ready. Yeah. Everybody gets exactly what they're ready for. People coming back 20 years later and saying, wow, that changed my whole life, but I had to go through massive emptying out. I had to go through all this there for this to really, really settle in, because it's different in that sense. It's different for everyone because it has to do with where someone is in their level of maturity. So, yeah, I invite you to come and join me if you can. If you can join me in person, that's the best. That's the absolute best. But if you can't, if you're on the other side of the world or something, I have these online retreats now, and it's happening in them too, And yeah, there's one happening the last week of the year, 4 days, 27th to the 30th, end of year. If you value that, come, jump in, right? And otherwise, in person, there is a 6-day retreat scheduled for the Algarve in April, 22nd of April. And I tell you, these retreats are intimate. They're small enough for everybody to get real, intimate, direct, intimate work, each one. It's not like there's hundreds of people and I can only deal with about, a handful or whatever. It's intimate, and it's like there's enough space in the room. So if you can get to the Algarve in April, yeah, if it's your time, then do come. Obviously, I do individual sessions online as well. But you could, yeah, it's very powerful in person. And yeah, I've been doing this a long time. And like I said, you have to come to see anybody who gets this recognition. Say if someone got this recognition like last month or last year or, just recently, a couple of years ago, whatever. It's like growing in life. You can only really it's very, very rare to get the whole thing in one moment, because you have to see every corner of the mind and all its tricks and the trickiness of the false sense of self, the ego, taking this awakened identity and pretending to know it all. Yes, there's a lot of traps in there. There are a lot of traps. Yeah. There are a lot of traps. So for the mind to be seen in all its facets, in all its trickiness, in all its corners, yeah. And I would say that walking through deep challenge in this life is the real deep teachings that we get. We really, really get deep teachings through what we go through. It's not all about having the enlightening experience and sitting in bliss forever. Yeah, that's wonderful. But how do we meet humanity in the nitty-gritty of all the intricacies of what a human can move through? How do we bring this there? If we don't know those places in ourselves, we only can meet that by saying, you're all God's children. There's nobody here. There's nobody here is such a big one. You know, it's such a cop out in a lot of, I mean, even there are lots of teachers who are also playing that one on themselves, you know, on themselves. Because it's kind of like a disassociation often. Yeah. So it's true that there's nobody here, but it can also be used, and the ego is so tricky and it can get so subtle. Yeah. So, yeah, it's really a process of undoing. I would say that awakening really begins once there is self-recognition, true self-recognition of being the cosmos itself looking through a pair of eyes. When this recognition is clear, the stopping of the minds, and there's no way back, this is the beginning. It's the beginning. It's the end of the search, but it's the beginning. It's really the beginning of awakening. It's the beginning. You know, people they think that they know what they're talking about when they say, if you've had an awakening, they think that that's it, that's the end of it. It's not. It's the beginning. It's the beginning. It's an endless beginning. And when I first said this on an interview, I think it was the Conscious TV interview, I said that this is an endless beginning. And there were comments, people saying that, you know, I hadn't quite got there yet. I wonder 15 years later if they will say a different thing now, you know, when they realize it themselves, that it's an endless beginning. And to always remain in the beginning is that's where we remain in humility. Yeah. And available. So let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to give a like. It helps the video to be seen even more. And yeah, your comments also help it to get shown more. So I appreciate and thank you for listening this far. Om Shanti.